Well, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've been on here. I've took almost all of July off, even though I had a bunch of videos that came out in July. I pretty much recorded those back in June. So, yeah, even though I think this won't necessarily be the first video that I put out after my, little bit of a break, I wanted to ease myself in with some pretty familiar territory, and I'm just going to do a record haul. I'm just going to talk about the records that I've picked up over the past number of months. And I mentioned in my first one of the year, because I think this is going to be the second one of 2024, I've really kind of pumped the brakes in terms of buying new records, just with the expensiveness that they are, as well as the availability. And also, there weren't a whole lot of albums that came out this year that I wanted physically. But there will be a video, if it isn't already out, talking about how much I've really been enjoying pop music within this summer. I've been definitely having that brat summer. And so over half, if not more, of these records are all pop releases. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that video once it comes out. But so most of these are going to be pop. And I know that most of my viewerships aren't all that excited about pop music, but, I am this summer. Now, for those that love the prog, don't worry. I've got some really good prog releases, and I've got those at the end. So be sure to watch until the end, or at least just follow the little, time signature and find out until I get to the prog stuffs. But let's dive into some of the pop stuff that I've been listening to. And honestly, this wouldn't be a Brat summer without the actual Brat album itself. And I want to talk about the actual packaging of this record. I think Charli XCX did a brilliant job of packaging this, whether it was her or her team. First off, there's this little sticky note here that you have to kind of cut through in order to open up the gatefold. I thought that was really interesting and kind of cool. Also, and this is just for me because, millennial here, the lyrics are printed off in a 3-plied printer sheet. So you got the perforated edges there. That can be fed through the old style, printer, and then it's triple, I believe it is. We've got the pink on the one side, the yellow on the other side, and I think right smack dab in the middle. It's not. I thought there was. There is a third. So actually, the first one's white, then you got pink, and then you got that yellow. So it reminds me of the ye olde printer sheets in that sense, which love that. Then you have the full book of the record itself. Again, you got the Brat Charli XCX. And I love, again, whenever anybody does the lyrics in any kind of a fun fashion, I think that's a lot. It's interesting, right? It does something different. And then there's her, in all her glory right there. So the packaging itself is great. And then to top everything else off, on the back, you have kind of the cutout of the record itself, and it continues on into... So, I don't know, I just kind of like that there's something different. So often, and then see, you can actually, see right through it. There's me. So often, packaging at this point, I just feel gets very boring, and I love whenever an artist decides to do something a little bit different. So, Charli, you get the seal of approval in this sense. I've been loving your record. I've been loving this record. And, this was kind of one of the things that kind of started it all off. So, there's Brat. That's Charli XCX. If you haven't listened to it already, please do. I spent a lot of time talking about the packaging because I'm a sucker for packaging. So, all right, let's dive a little bit deeper. And of course, if I had to get one Charli XCX album, I'm going to try to get as many as I can. So we have Crash. This was the one, for me at least, that put her on the map. I know that she has many other albums and some better than others. But yeah, this was the one that I felt I needed to have in my collection because I feel like it's a perfect companion piece to another record and another artist that I've been really enjoying, Dua Lipa. So this is her Future Nostalgia record, and I almost feel like, she's driving the car that Charli hit, so it's kind of like the two kind of flying by. So we got Crash by Charli XCX, and we have Future Nostalgia from Dua Lipa. I've been loving her records, and, I figured I had to get her most popular one. I've actually been enjoying her other record, The Radical Optimism. Been loving this one, specifically on streaming on the extended version. I think the extended version is a superior quality than the original, but I'll show you. I've still been really loving it. So the extended feature has this as the full cover, which I really appreciate. And of course, because you're dealing with water, you have a transparent blue record. The other thing that I've noticed with a lot of these pop records is that they fit on one album, like 45 minutes, in and around that mark. So they fit very cleanly on one record. And that is how I prefer to consume music. So I like the fact that all these records, pretty much all of them, are just a single disc. Because if it was a double disc, I don't have time for that. Another artist that I have discovered this year, which is kind of funny because she's been around for a while, that is, of course, Sabrina Carpenter. I know she's got her new record that I'm very excited for, Please, 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 and Espresso are, two of my favorite tracks that have come out this year, so I'm really looking forward to Short and Sweet. But this is the album that came out just prior to that, which is Emails I Refuse to Send. Emails I Can't Send. There we go. Yeah, been really loving this one. I really love her first record, but I can't find it, obviously. So yeah, this one and her first record are the two that I've been listening to the most in preparation for Short and Sweet, because I'm just really excited for that. I love how, sweet and innocent and, I don't know, all these records have a form of sincerity to it that I don't get with a lot of pop music that came before it. And, I'll talk about that in another one. Another one that I've really been loving is, I believe her name is Clario. This is her, I want to say it's her first album, with Charm. There's a lot more kind of rhythm and blues aspects on it. It's a little bit more chill. So there's a little bit less pop on this one, but I've been really loving the kind of smoother grooves, a little bit more of a chill vibe on this. I've been listening to this as I've been falling asleep because of how very, not happy, because that's not quite the right word, but good vibes are found on this record. So it's very chill, very poppy, and I really enjoy that one. Another one that I've been enjoying, even though I know a lot of people aren't all that excited for, is the Gracie Abrams album of The Secret of Us. And I know a lot of people aren't really digging it because it's very derivative of her source material. And I guess because I don't have a lot of the context of that, I'm only just starting to get into pop music. I'm not as swayed by that. It's kind of like how I find a lot of progressive metal music nowadays. It's just very derivative of either Dream Theater or Haken. If I weren't familiar with Dream Theater and Haken, I would be loving the prog metal movement right now. But because I am, all I can hear is either Dream Theater or Haken. So I feel like the same thing is with Gracie Abrams. And I think out of all of the artists, the whole industry plant probably is the easiest to apply to her because, J.J. Abrams' daughter, has connections within the industry, didn't have to fight her way up to the top like certain artists that I've been trying to find on vinyl, but because Chapel Rowan is just so friggin' popular, all of her records are gone. This one is much more of born at the top and now we're still here kind of an idea. And I still like most of her tracks on here. It's a good time. Yeah, definitely much more in the stereotypical pop that I've been enjoying. And speaking about friends, we've got Taylor Swift with her album, The Torture Poets Department. Not as big of a fan on this one after a while. I enjoy, again, a good packaging, and I like that this is kind of like a book, and I'm using my librarian skills here, showing my book while displaying it and doing the pictures here. I enjoy, the book aspect of it. I like the production, and I like the overall packaging of this record, but the music that is there, I just don't feel it. Outside of I Can Do This With a Broken Heart, Fortnight, I think that's about it, really. Just those two tracks. Maybe Florida, because it has Florence and the Machine. Other than that, this album's kind of a dud for me, even with the extended version that has double the amount of songs. I would much rather just go back and listen to Folklore or Evermore than put this guy on. So a little bit disappointed with this one. This is probably the first album from Taylor that I was just lackluster. I was hoping for a little bit more. Okay, another album that has just been in my head and I can't get out is Olivia Rodrigo with her album, I believe this one is Guts. Yeah, she's got it right there, Guts. Vampire has just been completely in my head. I think it's a really great execution. I kind of like it more than Driver's License, even though a lot of people think that Driver's License is better. I don't know. I like the builds of this track. I love the ebb and flow. It's kind of a proggy track in that it keeps building and keeps building and keeps building upon itself. So yeah, I've been really loving this one. You know, Olivia Rodrigo, there it is. So Guts. And then of course, if I have Guts, I'm a completionist. So I also had to get Sour. And it's fun. I've been enjoying this one as well. Again, you got Driver's License on here. Good For You is on here. Jealousy, Jealousy. And it's just a bop. It's just a banger. I remember when this came out last year and I wasn't all that excited for it. I don't think I was ready for it. You know, I wasn't ready for all the pop songs that I was hearing lately. Next one, of course, I had to get Carolyn Pesci, I believe it is, with Desire Want to Turn Into You. But I actually went back because I listened to this, you know, when it first dropped. I listened to it last fall. I was really into this one. I went back and I listened to her first one of Pang, and I believe that's what it is, Pang. And I actually enjoyed this one more, you know, and I don't know what it is. I just enjoy her debut album a little bit more than her, you know, sophomore album. And I love that both come with a big fold-out poster. So, yeah, this is kind of more my jam, you know. It's got that more independent feel, a little bit more of the dream pop feel. You know, got a little bit more of the Kate Bush feel. But I've been really enjoying these two records, so we got both of hers there. And then I had to, of course, complete my collection with Carly Rae Jepsen. So I finally got her kind of like B-side to The Loneliest of Times, and this is The Loveliest of Times. You know, she does this all the time where she puts out her main record, and then a couple months later, even half a year later, she'll put out kind of like the extended B-sides of like, these were songs that were recorded at the time but didn't quite make it into the album. And I always find like it's a better listen from start to finish than the actual album itself, even if it doesn't have like those big pop tracks, you know, like this one doesn't hold the title track of The Loneliest of Times, which is my favorite track from her, but from start to finish it is still such a banger. And since she's releasing and re-releasing some of her other B-sides, I also got Emotion B-side, which again, probably better than Emotion itself, even though it's got those big banger tracks on there. From start to finish, I think it's a better album. It's a little bit more consistent. And of course, I had to get her debut album as well, which is Kiss. It's the one that I believe has Call Me Maybe. Yeah, Call Me Maybe. As much as I want to, you know, shit all over Justin Bieber, if it wasn't for Justin Bieber, we wouldn't get Kiss and we wouldn't have the career that is Carly Rae Jepsen. So I can't completely fault the guy for existing because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have this record, which then launched her career. So, and still a fantastic pop record, you know, lots of fun on that one. All right, what else we got? We have, kind of moving away from pop a little bit, this is one of my favorite records of the year so far with Beth Gibbons with Lives Outgrown. I always want to say Lives Past Lived, but it's Lives Outgrown. Brilliant album. I did a full review of this record. If you haven't listened to it already and you like kind of experimental pop and expressionist pop, really give this one a spin. It's been on high rotation on my list and I've really been enjoying it. I always kind of figure like this is what would happen if the song production and styles of a Peter Gabriel was mashed up with a vibe and a mood very similar to a Roger Waters, but then put through a feminist gaze. This is kind of what you have, and I absolutely love it, and I like a female experience. Gotta check this one. Gotta check this one out. Okay, finally rounding us off, I picked up The Deeper Well, which means, of course, I have to get Golden Hour from Casey Musgraves, another artist that I discovered this year that I've just dove deep into, and I've been really loving Deeper Well, so I think it's Into the Deeper Well. So yeah, had to pick up her best record, and I've been loving it. A little bit more country and folk infused than kind of straight up pop, but absolutely love this one. And of course, this is kind of where Casey's road started for me, which is her Christmas music. Sparkly, glittery. That's where I first heard her music from. So when I saw that there's a Christmas album and, again, single disc, I had to pick it up because it's never too early for Christmas music, in my opinion. Heck, I listen to Christmas music all throughout the year, and then it ramps up really hard once we get into November. But I had to pick this one up because, again, love Christmas music. And speaking of Christmas music, this is the only one I haven't opened up yet because I haven't listened to it. This is going to be the first one that I listened to in November. And this is Adina Menzel, or Adele Menzine, depending on who you ask, with her Christmas, A Season of Love. I still have the price tag on there. I better take that off. Now you know how much I spent on this guy. I friggin' love Adina. I've loved her ever since I heard her perform on Rent. And from there, just topping the charts with Frozen as Elsa, as Elphaba as well within Wicked, Rachel's mom on Glee. So I had to pick up once I found out that she did a Christmas album. Most of these are, covers, but you have a lot of really good features on here as well, which I'm super excited to listen to. So yeah, had to pick this one up. Love Christmas music. Again, never too early for Christmas music. All right, we're kind of winding away from the pop music, but I got one last one, and that is, of course, Lemon Twigs with Everything Harmony. I've been trying to find their last one, which is All We Have Is a Dream, but I can't find it. It's practically out of print at this point. That one really, really set them off on a really great course. So this is more of their folksy singer-songwriter, like Garfunkel and Oates, Hall and Oates and Garfunkel, Simon and Garfunkel. So that kind of vein, whereas I really liked their All We Have Is a Dream, which is much more of like Beach Boys, Beatles, ELO, that kind of flavor. But still, great album, and I've been really grooving to it this year. Okay, that is about it for the pop music. Let's move on to the Decemberists with their latest record of As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again. I have to be perfectly frank, this one hasn't grown on me as much as I was really hoping it would. I haven't returned to this one nearly as much as I have I'll Be Your Girl. I probably listened to this one as much as What a Wonderful World, What a Terrible World. I don't know. There's just something about it that I'm not grooving with. I'm not really connecting with. I mean, as you can see, I haven't even taken it out of its saran wrap yet since I've received it. So I'm hoping that the mood will strike, and I hope that it will hit me a little bit harder. But I don't know. It's not jiving with me as much as I was hoping for. Even with the Joan in the Garden at, 19 minutes. As a prog lover, you think I would love that, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Now, the same cannot be said about Sleep Makes Waves and their record of It's Here, but I Have No Name for It. I want to make sure I get that right. I had this... My little banner fell down. I had to special order this from the band themselves because I've been loving this record. It's like the natural progression within a lot of the post-rock stuff, especially like the mainly instrumental, less electronic side of the post-rock stuff. I've been loving it. It's a little bit heavier. It's got that mood. It's got that vibe. It's got that atmosphere that I love. And yeah, if you want something that's definitely proggy, a lot more progressive in their music and soundscapes, I think you're going to love this one. I did a review of it. It's been one of my favorite records of the year so far. So yeah, if you haven't listened to Sleep Makes Waves yet, you got to check this one out. I've been loving it. Absolutely loving it. All right, let's dive into the final, we've got about 6, 7, 8, 9, about almost 10 records that are just purely prog. So those of you that have stuck around for the prog stuff, we're getting into the prog stuff. And those of you that started with the pop stuff, might I introduce you to my good friend progressive rock. So first off, Neil Morse has been slowly putting his records back on vinyl, or I guess for the first time on vinyl. And I had missed out on a lot of the Neil Morse records just because either it's behind a paywall or the CDs are discontinued. So trying to find some of these to listen to have been kind of hard because not a whole lot of used record stores within my area carry his stuff. So when he finally said, I'm going to put back one onto vinyl, I had to go and pick it up. The only places that I could hear most of this track, most of these songs from, were either Waterfall, which, I finally went down and picked that up. Or on YouTube, whatever he wants to put up on YouTube. So I'm glad he put this one up. This one has a lot of, the staple ones like Author of Confusion and some of the big, meaty tracks like The Creation, The Separated Man, and Reunion, kind of like staple epics within his discography. I love the concept of this, with God and man being as one, then the separation of The Separated Man, and then coming back together as Reunion. Love this. Love the concept. Love the story. Love the music. And all that can also be said about Testimony 1, or I guess at this point it's just Testimony. If you haven't seen it already, the debut episode of What a Concept covers this record, and I loved it so much that I actually went out and got the album, and it is a trifold. So we got one, and then it opens up another time. I love when an album does this as a 3-discer. I've seen it be, I've seen that kind of recreated in many different ways, but I think this is the best way to hold and house 3 records. Love it. This was the big stance for Neil Morse. Like, this was the one that he was doing just post Spock's Beard. And I think he absolutely nailed it out of the park. I love the suites. I love the movements. So good. I think this is still one of his best works that he's ever written. Okay, keeping it in the Spock's Beard vein, because, I was talking about it, let's talk about one of my favorite Spock's Beard records of all time. Brief Nocturnes. Oh, I want to make sure I get this, because I always want to say one thing or another. Brief Nocturnes and Dreamless Sleep. And I love the fact that the 4th side is kind of the... I guess the half of the 3rd side and the rest of the 4th side are all the bonus discs. The Man You're Afraid You Are, Down a Birding Road, Wish You Were Here, and Something Very Strange. Now, it's called the Sanctified Remix, but it's really just like the radio mix. But this record has some of the best music Spock's Beard has ever put out. And I would say, this is vying for my favorite Spock's Beard record of all time. Just with Hiding Out, I Know Your Secret, A Treasure Abandoned, Submerged, Something Very Strange, Waiting for Me, and even Afterthoughts. Afterthoughts for me, I think is kind of like the low point of the record, but even with that, it's still one of the highlights of the Spock's Beard discography. So yeah, if you haven't listened to this one yet, please go and do it if you haven't already. One of the best Spock's Beard's records ever produced. So yeah, I had to pick this one up, and when I found it, I didn't mind spending a little bit more money on that one. All right, keeping within the kind of symphonic and re-released stuff, we've got The Sum of No Evil. I ordered this last year, and it didn't come in ever. It said that it was either, processing or whatnot, and it just never arrived. So I canceled my order. I reordered it, and within a week, I got it. This is one of my, if not my favorite Spock's, I was just talking about Spock's Beard, Flower Kings record. And I actually enjoy how they, move things around a little bit just to make it fit on the record, just because Love Is the Only Answer is the big 20-minute track, and it's supposedly on the CD, it's the 2nd track, so they put it purely on the 2nd side, but One More Time not being an island on its own, they put One More Time and Trading My Soul, the 3rd track, as the 1st side, which it flows all right, and then you have The Sum of No Reason and Flight 999 Brimstone Air, and then on the 3rd side, and then Life in Motion is the 6th side. Or sorry, it's the 6th track on the 4th side. It's fine. I do feel like all these remixes from 2023 from last year kind of missed the mark and took out some of the punch. And the same can be said on here. I am glad that Trading My Soul, Love Is the Only Answer, and Flight 999 were not changed at all. It's just a reproduction of the original. One More Time, Sum of No Reason, and Life in Motion, I just feel like some of that punch is kind of gone from it. So yeah, I'm not too pleased about the remixes of these albums, but I still enjoyed the fact that I have this on vinyl, and this was the last of the Flower Kings records that I wanted to have on vinyl anyway. So yeah, love this one. If you haven't heard it already, this is a great entry point to the Flower Kings. Okay, let's see what we've got next. My partner and I love Ghost, and I realized I didn't have this in my collection yet. So I got, Ceremony and Devotion, the live album that they put out right after Meliora, which is my favorite record from Ghost. This is probably my favorite live album from them, even though I still love Right Here, Right Now. I have a few issues with that one, whereas I have 0 issues with this one, and I'm still waiting on that one. I ordered it from the band, and I've already seen it a number of times in stores, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't just wait and buy it in store so I could have it immediately. I have to wait a lot longer now for the actual album itself, but when I get it, I'll get it. And anyway, great entry point as well for the band. The vocals are mixed quite quietly, I will admit, on this, which does capture more of the live setting. But, I want to hear Tobias. I want to hear my man. So, yeah, that's Ceremony and Devotion. Great live album from a great band. Another album that I finally picked up was Anecd. I'm kind of like lukewarm about Anecd, and this is their Nucleus record, and it's fun. It's fun. If you're looking for some, really deep prog, then this is where you're going to be finding it. I love that this has some, lengthier tracks like Book of Hours, that's almost 10 minutes. This Far From the Sky, that's almost 9 minutes. So, if you're looking for the crazy prog, kind of in the same vein as like King Crimson or even, All Traps on Earth or Angelarg, you're gonna really like it. And I mean, you guys probably already know Anecd, and I shouldn't be telling you guys about this one. Great record, great album, great band. All right, last two, another live album, which we finally have here, which is Coma Divine. Again, another one that I've been dragging my feet on. Their first real big, live album. And this was the one that came out right after Signify. That's the one, Signify. So there's a lot of Signify on here, like the title track, Born, Live, Die, Waiting Phase 1 and 2. But there's also quite a bit, I wish that they had done a little bit more from their first 2 records, like Up the Downstairs and On Any Given Sunday. But, we still have Radioactive Toy, Up the Downstairs. I like the fact that they have quite a bit of the Sky Moves Sideways, like the title track, Dislocated Day, and Moon Loop. But yeah, it's fine. It's good. And I kind of got it more for completionist's sake. And again, it's a try record, and you have to squeeze 2 records into one slot because there's 3 records, and I'm not too big of a fan of that. But anyway, I got it more for a completionist because I have all the other Porcupine Tree records except for their last one. Yeah, I don't have their last one, but I'm not in a big rush to get it anyway. All right, finally, this is one that I am very excited to listen to once the fall begins, because this is a very fall record. It's Scott Walker and Son O, or Son. This is their Sooth, I believe is how you pronounce it. I've been loving this one, all songs written by Scott Walker and all music performed by Scott Walker and Son. Love this record. If you want some really deep, really aggressive, very experimental music, you got to check this one out. I mean, if you know about Son O and you know about Scott Walker, you know the kind of music that you're getting into for this one. I have a couple of Scott Walker records that I listen to during the fall because it's just days are getting colder and shorter, and we kind of got a little bit of that doom and gloom. So yeah, this is one that I highly, highly recommend, but you kind of have to know what you're getting into first. It's a little bit of a jagged pill, but if you can stomach it, you're going to get really rewarded. So there you go. That's Scott Walker and Son O with Soothed. There you go. And that's it. Those are all the records. I know this is a little bit of a longer one. We're coming up to the 30-minute mark on my runtime here. But I had a lot of records. Once summer started, that's really when I started to buy a lot more records just because of the availability. And honestly, a lot of the reason why I have so many of these pop records is that they're in that sweet spot between $25 and $30 that I don't mind spending a little bit of money on. It's when these albums, like all those prog records that I was showing, that start at $55 to $65. That's why I've kind of pumped the brakes on a lot of the prog stuff, but a lot of the pop stuff, when they're in that sweet spot of, $30, I don't mind spending $30 on a record. So yeah, I think the most expensive one on there was the Taylor Swift one, and it was $60, and I kind of hemmed and hawed and wondered about that one, but I have all of her other records, so I might as well complete it. So yeah, that's my haul. What was your favorite record of the bunch? What was your most surprising record of the bunch? What records have you picked up within the, I guess, latter bit of this year, within the summer? Let me know all about that by commenting down below. And if you made it this far, please like, share, subscribe, do all the fun things to help this video get some traction now that I'm back after a little bit of a hiatus. So yeah, I'm just going to leave you guys with thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.